Welcome to 30 Millionaire Stories, where real stories ignite faith in kindness. Have you ever thought that a small moment could break down the silent walls of a wounded heart? Step into a small diner in Asheville, North Carolina, where the aroma of roasted coffee blends with the twinkling light of lanterns, and a birthday celebration becomes the start of something miraculous. A disabled boy, a helpless millionaire father, and a waitress with a radiant heart together wrote a story that will make you believe that kindness can change the entire world. Subscribe to the 30 Millionaire Stories channel and join us to discover what happened at table number 9 on an unforgettable evening. Are you ready? In the heart of Asheville, North Carolina, the Lantern Glow Diner opens like a small sanctuary amidst the misty hills. The scent of freshly baked bread mingles with the aroma of roasted coffee, filling the air with a familiar, comforting feeling, like an embrace from days long past. But at table number 9, a sharp silence cuts through the warm flow of the atmosphere, as if time itself has paused around one small corner of the diner. At the center of the table, a smooth strawberry cake, adorned with 7 candles, stands tall like a symbol of forgotten joy. Finn Carver, a 7-year-old boy, sits in a wheelchair at the end of the table, his head lowered, his eyes fixed on a tiny necklace clutched in his hand. The necklace, with a silver wave-shaped pendant, is the last thread connecting him to his mother, who passed away in a sailing accident a year ago. The accident not only took Finn's mother, but also locked his voice behind invisible walls, robbed him of part of his mobility, and trapped him in a silent world where smiles have become a distant, fragile memory, like a dream that fades away. Finn sits there, his light brown hair falling messily over his forehead, hiding eyes that once sparkled with childish joy. On his wheelchair, a blue ribbon is loosely tied around the handle, a loving gesture from an aunt who left after decorating, as if hoping that a touch of color could spark a flicker of life in him. But Finn doesn't touch the cake or respond to the birthday wishes echoing around the table. His small, frail hands grip the necklace tightly, his fingers tracing the outline of the wave as if trying to hold on to a piece of memory slipping away. His silence is not just the absence of words, but a profound void, like an ocean without ripples, making those around him shiver involuntarily. At the head of the table, Gideon Carver, 55 years old, sits with a resolute posture in a tailored navy suit, designed to accentuate the authority of a millionaire. He is the man behind a renowned chain of handcrafted furniture factories, where walnut tables and leather armchairs are crafted with meticulous attention to every grain. His hair is streaked with silver, his face angular, but his eyes, though sharp, bear the cracks of unconcealed pain. Gideon is accustomed to commanding, to solving problems with decisiveness and wealth, but before Finn, he is powerless, like a weary traveler lost in his own home. His phone vibrates lightly on the table, an email from a business partner about a new contract, but he doesn't bother to glance at it. His gaze is fixed on Finn, searching for a sign, a slight movement, but all he sees is a chilling silence, as if the boy is drifting further away from him, away from the world. 2 guests, investors in expensive suits, sit across from Gideon, raising their wine glasses, their voices ringing with birthday wishes, but the sound passes over Finn like a breeze through a closed door. The boy doesn't lift his head, doesn't smile, only clutches the necklace, as if it's the last lifeline in the storm of his grief. Gideon holds his wineglass, his fingers tightening slightly around its stem, his lips pressed into a harsh line. He raises his glass to join the guests, but the gesture is mechanical, lifeless, like someone repeating a ritual he no longer believes in. In his eyes brews a silent storm, a mix of helplessness and the burning desire of a father longing to reach his son, to pull him back from a place where neither money nor power can reach. He looks at Finn, and in that moment, amid the polite laughter and the sweet scent of the cake, Gideon is not the powerful millionaire, but merely a father standing before an invisible wall, helplessly watching his son sink into silence, with the necklace as the only thread tying him to the days that are gone. Lila Wren, 25 years old, returns from the kitchen of the Lantern Glow, a tray of plates balanced in her hands, her steps light as if following a silent rhythm that blends with the aroma of roasted coffee and freshly baked bread filling the space. Her hair is tied low, a few curly strands falling across her forehead, her slightly crumpled apron bearing traces of the bustling hours of work. But her eyes, sharp yet gentle, seem to see through hidden things, as if she can sense the quiet breathing of silent souls. Just a fill-in waitress, Lila doesn't belong to the familiar rhythm of the diner, but as she approaches table number 9, where Finn Carver sits motionless in his wheelchair, she senses a pain deeper than shyness, a vast void, like an endless ocean, where words and joy have been submerged. Finn still clutches the necklace with its wave-shaped pendant, his fingers tracing the silver edges as if grasping a fragment of a shattered memory. Lila doesn't pass by him like the other servers, who often set down plates and hurry away, avoiding the boy's vacant gaze. Instead, she slowly kneels, her knees lightly touching the polished wooden floor, bringing herself to Finn's eye level. Her movement is deliberate, almost ceremonial, as if she's stepping into a small corner of his world where every action carries the weight of respect. From her apron pocket, she pulls out a small paper star, carefully folded from a white napkin, its creases meticulous but imperfect, adorned with a tiny sequin she picked up from the diner's floor during her lunch break. The star is simple, not dazzling, but it holds a sincerity like a whisper from the heart, as if it was made solely for Finn. Lila places the star on the plate in front of him, her fingers brushing lightly against the napkin's edge, as if offering a small but precious gift. She tilts her head, her hair swaying slightly, and whispers, her voice soft but clear, like a breeze slipping through a crack. It's waiting for an astronaut to guide its way. Her words carry no pressure, no demand for a response, just a gentle invitation, like a door slightly ajar in the midst of Finn's silent storm. He blinks, his gaze shifting from the necklace to the paper star on the plate for the first time. His right hand, usually still, trembles faintly, as if a small breeze has touched his soul, awakening something that has been dormant for too long. That moment, though fleeting, carries the weight of a quiet change, like a drop of water rippling across a still lake. Lila smiles, the corners of her lips curving just enough to convey warmth, but she doesn't linger to wait for a reaction. She rises, her movements gentle, and continues carrying the tray to other tables, as if her action was merely part of her daily routine. But that moment was far from ordinary. In Finn's eyes, a faint glimmer of hope appears, like a silver thread piercing through the thick fabric of loneliness. His fingers still touch the paper star, tracing its uneven folds, as if exploring a secret he didn't know he was searching for. His silence, once heavy like a waveless ocean, now seems lighter, if only slightly, as if a door has cracked open, revealing a small gap in the invisible wall surrounding him. Lila doesn't look back, doesn't seek acknowledgement or grateful glances. She moves on, the tray still balanced, her low-tied hair swaying gently with her steps, as if unaware of the power of her small act. But her heart, though she doesn't voice it, has touched a hidden soul, planting a seed of hope that needs no words to sprout. At table number 9, amidst the sweet scent of strawberry cake and the polite laughter of the guests, a miracle has begun, quiet but vibrant like a tiny star that has found its own sky. Lila Wren returns to Finn Carver's side, carrying a glass of cold apple juice, droplets of condensation clinging to the glass like silent dewdrops. In her mind, an indefinable feeling stirs, as if she has just touched a fragile, delicate thread connecting her to the boy sitting motionless in his wheelchair. Lila is no stranger to silences like this. Years of volunteering at an orphanage taught her to recognize hidden souls, hearts locked tight by pain. But with Finn, there's something deeper, as if his silence is not merely the absence of words, but a vast ocean where the waves of memories of his lost mother still surge, quietly but relentlessly. She senses his pain, not through words, but through the way Finn clutches the wave-shaped necklace, as if it's the only anchor keeping him from drifting away. Lila sits down beside Finn, legs crossed, her body relaxed like an old friend, not a waitress performing a duty. In her heart, a distant memory resurfaces. Afternoons spent folding paper stars with her grandmother, who spoke of dreams that could soar if someone dared to light them up. That memory is not just joy, but a reminder that sometimes a small gesture can unlock a door in someone's soul. Lila pulls a white napkin from her apron pocket, her fingers beginning to fold, each crease deliberate, as if telling a wordless story. She whispers, her voice light as a breath. "When I was little, I used to fold these stars with my grandma. She said each star is a wish, just needing someone brave enough to send it to the sky." Her words aren't meant to fill the silence, but to offer an invitation, an invisible thread extended for Finn to grasp, if he chooses. In Finn, a small wave seems to stir. His gaze, once captive to the necklace, now shifts to the paper star in Lila's hand, as if drawn into a world he had long forgotten. The pain within him, like a heavy stone, seems to waver, if only slightly, before Lila's unassuming gentleness. He tilts his head, a small but meaningful gesture, as if testing the opening of a door long sealed shut. Lila places the star on the edge of the table, her smile gentle, unpressuring, but carrying a quiet faith that Finn can reach for it. "I think it needs a proper astronaut. Want to try?" she says, her voice soft but clear, like a whisper between two friends sharing a secret. Finn hesitates, his eyes flickering between the paper star and his own hand, as if grappling with an invisible fear, the fear that reaching out might lead to failure again, as in the long months of being unable to speak or walk. But then, his right hand trembles as it reaches out, his fingers brushing the star's uneven edges, as if exploring a piece of himself. Within him, a faint spark of hope kindles, like a breeze stirring a barren field. Lila doesn't push, only quietly folds another star, letting Finn see each crease, each slow movement like a promise that he doesn't need to hurry. They sit there, two quiet souls, like two astronauts sharing a journey among the stars, needing no words to understand each other. When Lila playfully blows, making the paper star fly across the table, a small sound escapes Finn. A laugh, fragile but genuine, like the chime of wind bells on a quiet morning. That sound, though faint, makes Lila's heart skip, as if she's just touched something miraculous. In Finn, that laugh is a crack in the invisible wall, not enough to break it, but enough to reveal a gap where buried fragments of joyful memories begin to seep through. Lila doesn't look at Finn, not wanting him to feel watched, but in her heart, a quiet joy spreads, as if she's just found a lost star and helped it find its way back to the sky. Dear audience, take a moment to relax or grab a glass of water, then keep listening to the story. There are still surprises ahead. Comment 1 if you find the story captivating, so we know you're still with us. Gideon Carver sits at the head of the table, his hand gripping the wine glass tightly, his fingers leaving marks on the fragile glass as if trying to restrain a surge of emotions welling up in his chest. In his mind, the long months following the sailing accident replay like a silent film, each frame a sharp cut. Images of Finn, the boy who once chattered endlessly about ships, now imprisoned in silence, his eyes vacant like a starless sky. Gideon, who built an empire of handcrafted furniture through determination and vision, has never felt as powerless as he does when facing his son. Every effort, the best doctors, the endless therapy sessions, has crumbled before the invisible wall surrounding Finn, as if everything he touches turns to dust. But now, as he watches Finn hold the paper star Lila Wren left behind, as he sees the corner of the boy's mouth curve into a small, fragile smile like a breath, a new breeze blows through his soul, carrying both astonishment and hope. Finn's smile, though fleeting, is a miracle Gideon dared not dream of in the past year. It's not just a gesture, but a crack in the silent wall that has held the boy captive, as if a fragment of the Finn he once knew, the boy who loved adventure stories and dreams of far-off places, is creeping back. Gideon feels his heart tighten, not from pain but from a sensation both foreign and familiar. Gratitude. Lila, the young waitress with her low-tied hair and unassuming smile, has accomplished what his wealth and power could not. She didn't see Finn as a disabled boy, didn't treat him as a problem to be fixed. She was simply a friend, present with unpretentious sincerity. And that opened a small breach in Finn's lonely world, a place Gideon, no matter how hard he tried, could not reach. His hand tightens further around the wine glass, as if clinging to this moment, afraid that if he blinks, Finn's smile will vanish again. In Gideon's heart, a storm of emotions swirls, the helplessness of long months, the gnawing guilt of failing to shield his son from pain, and now, a small but fierce spark of hope. He looks at Lila, who is still quietly interacting with Finn, unassuming, not seeking attention. She embodies something Gideon, with all his success, had forgotten. Kindness, without reason or need for recognition, can transform a heart. When a guest, an investor in an expensive suit, leans over to ask about a new project, Gideon nods distractedly, his eyes never leaving Finn and Lila. The guest's question passes over him like a meaningless breeze, unable to pull him away from the miracle unfolding before him. As Lila stands to serve another table, Gideon follows her with his gaze, his eyes no longer those of a millionaire accustomed to giving orders, but of a father searching for a way to give back. In his heart, a new resolve takes shape, not born of control or power, but of a deep desire. To give Finn not just a moment of joy, but a path to rediscover himself. He says nothing, his lips still pressed tightly, but his mind begins to form an idea, not to repay as a transaction, but to honor the kindness Lila has given, a kindness that lit a small star in his son's darkened world. Gideon feels a weight lift from his chest, not because everything is resolved, but because for the first time in those long months, he believes that Finn, his boy, might once again dream of the stars. As the birthday celebration draws to a close, Gideon Carver stands silently, his hands clasped tightly behind his back, his eyes never leaving Finn, who still holds the paper star, turning it over as if it were a treasure containing lost dreams. In Gideon's heart, a whirlwind of emotions swirls, not just gratitude but a bittersweet pain, as if he has just rediscovered a piece of his son, the boy who once dreamed of ships and adventures, now seemingly coming back to life through small gestures. Gideon, who built an empire of handcrafted furniture with determination, feels his heart stir before the miracle that Lila Wren, a stranger and a waitress, has brought. Finn's smile, his faint laugh like wind chimes, echoes in Gideon's mind, not as a fleeting memory but as a promise that his boy might find himself again. Yet alongside this hope lies a profound pang of guilt. Gideon had spent a year trying to pull Finn from the darkness, but it was a stranger, with simple kindness, who accomplished what he could not. As Lila passes by carrying a tray of dessert plates, Gideon feels an irresistible urge. He calls out to her, his voice low but trembling slightly, as if crossing a boundary he's never ventured beyond. "Miss Wren." Lila pauses, her eyes widening, a hint of surprise flickering like a breeze across a lake. Gideon pulls a navy blue business card from his pocket, offering it with both hands, as if it were not just a piece of paper, but a silent acknowledgement. "My son. He hasn't spoken, hasn't smiled since he lost his mother," he says, his gaze lowering, as if confronting his months of helplessness. "You've done what dozens of doctors couldn't." His words are not a mere thank you, but a confession, as if he's offering a piece of his heart. Lila takes the card, her fingers trembling slightly, unaware that this moment is opening a new door in her life. In her heart, a strange feeling stirs, not joy but a mix of awe and unease, as if she's unwittingly touched something greater than she can comprehend. The next morning, as Lila ties her hair to prepare for her shift, her phone rings, breaking the quiet of her small apartment. "Miss Wren, this is Eleanor from Mr. Gideon Carver's office," the voice on the line says, clear but warm. "Mr. Carver would like to invite you to the house to meet Finn, not for work, but as a friend." The invitation makes Lila's heart race, not from anxiety but from an intuition that Finn, the boy with the fathomless eyes, has left a mark on her. She blinks, trying to suppress the feeling that she's stepping into an unpredictable story. That afternoon, as a car takes her to Gideon's mansion on the outskirts of Asheville, Lila feels a gentle anticipation, as if preparing to reunite with an old friend, though she and Finn have only met once. Finn sits in his wheelchair, slowly pushing himself, holding a paper star, his fingers tracing its folds as if exploring a secret. Lila approaches, carrying a paper bag with a few napkins and a small jar of sequins, her heart pounding, not from pressure but from a belief that she can offer something to this boy. They begin folding more paper stars, letting them float like dreams on an imaginary sea. In Finn's heart, a quiet change is unfolding. The pain, once a heavy stone, seems to lighten, as if the paper stars have opened a crack in the invisible wall. Suddenly, he whispers, his voice small but clear. "You know, I want to fly to the stars." Those words, like a precious gem rising from the ocean's depths, make Lila's heart soar, not from surprise but from pure joy. She smiles, her eyes sparkling, unaware that from the balcony Gideon is watching, his gaze filled with a new resolve, not to repay a debt, but to build a path for both Finn and Lila, a gift greater than anything he has ever given. 3 weeks after the moment Finn whispered about his dream of flying to the stars, a thick envelope appears at the door of Lila Wren's small apartment, resting silently like an unexpected promise. Lila picks up the envelope, her fingers brushing over the heavy paper, sensing something greater than herself. Inside are admission papers from the University of North Carolina for a pediatric rehabilitation program, with a note confirming that tuition and living expenses are covered by an anonymous benefactor. Accompanying it is a handwritten letter, its bold, decisive script carrying the profound sincerity of Gideon Carver. Miss Lila, I've built factories, but I didn't know how to rebuild joy for my son. You did, not for money, not for fame, but because of your heart. Finn is speaking again, and this morning he sat folding stars, asking when his guide would return. This is not a gift, but a thank you for Finn and for the children you will lead to the stars. Lila reads the letter, each word like a slow heartbeat stirring her soul. Silent tears roll down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from a profound feeling, as if for the first time she is seen, not just as a waitress, but as the person she longs to become, someone who can touch lost souls. In Lila's heart, a wave of emotion surges, blending awe and gratitude. She had spent years working in diners, folding paper stars for orphanage children, never imagining a small act could open such a vast door. But Finn, the boy with fathomless eyes and a fragile smile, touched a part of her soul, making her realize that kindness, however simple, can be a mighty wind, strong enough to blow away dark clouds. Gideon's letter is not just a thank you, but an acknowledgement that she, an ordinary person with unfinished dreams, accomplished what even a millionaire could not. Lila clutches the letter, feeling as if she's holding a real star, not paper, but a dream ignited. A month later, Lila steps into the lantern glow, no longer wearing a crumpled apron but a white blouse, her name tag gleaming with the words, Pediatric Rehabilitation Student. In her heart, a quiet pride spreads, not for success, but for finding the path she always longed for. A path to guide children like Finn through the darkness. Finn sits in a corner of the diner, no longer in a wheelchair but on a bench, a stack of napkins and a small jar of sequins before him. He looks up, his eyes shining, and smiles radiantly, a smile free from the shadow of pain. "Hey, astronaut," he says, his voice small but brimming with life. Lila sits across from him, her heart stirred by Finn's transformation, and smiles. "I thought you were the captain." Finn slides a paper star toward her, bearing handwritten words in a shaky but clear script. "Thank you for guiding me through the darkness." Lila runs her fingers over the words, feeling as if she's touching a piece of herself, a piece she didn't know was missing until Finn gave it back. From a distance, Gideon stands quietly, holding a coffee mug, his eyes no longer those of a millionaire accustomed to control. A rare serenity spreads within him, as if he has rediscovered Finn, not just the silent boy, but the one who once dreamed of adventures among the stars. His smile, no longer the polite one of business meetings, is genuine, filled with gratitude. Lila, with her simple kindness, not only helped Finn find his voice, but also restored Gideon's faith that a father's love can transcend any limit. He stands there, silently, feeling a wordless healing, as if both he and Finn have found a new sky, radiant with stars. From the journey of Finn, Lila, and Gideon, we see that kindness, as small as a paper star, can illuminate the darkest corners of a heart. This story reminds us that a sincere, selfless gesture can heal deep wounds, bring hope, and connect souls that seemed lost. Kindness needs no fame or wealth, only a heart brave enough to open. We can all be Lila, sowing seeds of hope, helping someone rediscover themselves. Thank you for joining 30 Millionaire Stories to witness this inspiring tale. If you believe in the power of kindness, please like, share this story with loved ones, and subscribe to the channel to not miss these heart-touching journeys. Wonderful Americans, leave a comment. Have you ever experienced or witnessed a moment when kindness changed everything? Let's spread the belief that each of us can light a star in someone's life.